When Michael died, it didn't feel real. My older brother, the strongest person I knew, had whispered his last words in that sterile hospital room just 3 months ago. And now his lawyer was calling me with something that sounded surreal. A pen drive? I asked, pacing the kitchen while Emily cooked. Yes, Mr. Radley replied. Michael was very specific. Watch it alone. Don't tell Emily. That last part lodged in my chest like a splinter. Emily? My wife of 5 years? The woman who cried at Michael's funeral beside me? Why would my brother ask that? The envelope arrived that afternoon. It was small, padded, no return address. Emily handed it to me with a raised eyebrow. Secret admirer? She joked. Just work stuff, I lied. That night, I waited until Emily fell asleep beside me. Her breathing evened out as I tiptoed into my office, plugged in the drive and double-clicked the single file. Michael's face filled the screen. He looked thinner, the chemo already working its cruelty. But his voice was clear. Hey James, if you're watching this, I'm gone. I'm sorry. But I need to tell you something before it's too late. He paused, then exhaled. Emily is not who you think she is. I blinked. There are things you need to see. I didn't want to believe it either. But I had proof. I recorded it. It's all here. The screen cut to static, then loaded a folder. Videos, emails, logs. My hands went cold. I clicked the first video. And my entire world began to shift. The screen flickered again, then settled on the grainy footage of a restaurant booth. I recognized it instantly. La Traviata. The place Emily swore she hated. But there she was. Emily, smiling, laughing, with Trevor. Trevor, Michael's former business partner. The man who vanished right after Michael's diagnosis. Michael's voice returned over the footage. I thought I was paranoid. But James, they're not just having an affair. They did something worse. They manipulated my final deal, forged my signature on the equity contract, and transferred $600,000 into a shell account under your name. What? You've probably seen weird bank alerts. That's why. I traced everything. I left the documents in a safety deposit box. This USB has the key number. I couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. 100 little moments from the past year came rushing back. Emily's sudden interest in my accounts, her accidental deletion of Michael's emails, how she pushed me to sell my part of the company after Michael died. Let go of the past, she said. It's just a business. It wasn't. It was a setup. Michael's voice grew weaker near the end of the file. I tried to stop them, but I ran out of time. So I'm leaving it to you, James. Don't confront her yet. Wait. Watch. Build your proof. When you strike, make it count. The screen went black. I sat frozen, the glow of the monitor washing over my face. Emily knocked on the door. Everything okay? She asked sweetly. I turned. Smiled. Yeah. Just thinking about Michael. Emily leaned against the doorframe, holding a steaming mug of coffee like we were still the picture-perfect couple. Want me to make you something? I shook my head. I'm fine. Just going over Michael's old emails. Missing him a bit. She nodded solemnly, lips pressed together like she cared. But her eyes scanned the desk, my laptop, the flash drive. She was calculating. Always calculating. That night, I lay awake staring at the ceiling. The rage was bubbling, but I heard Michael's voice in my head. Don't confront. Gather proof. Strike only when it's irreversible. So I began. First, I took the safety deposit key and retrieved the documents. Michael had done everything. Account printouts, recorded calls, notarized copies. He knew what he was doing. Then I planted a keystroke tracker on our shared PC, the one she used to manage our finances. Within 24 hours, I had her password. And what I found made my skin crawl. Emails between her and Trevor. Not just flirty ones. Strategy emails. He's almost convinced to sell his shares. We're close. Move the money through that Wyoming LLC. He'll never trace it. Delete Michael's name from the documents. Say we lost the originals. And then one from 2 weeks ago. We've bled him enough. It's time to file for divorce. We'll take the house. She hadn't just betrayed me. She used me. And now they were going to gut me clean. But they didn't know I had the whole playbook. They were planning a theft. I was planning a demolition. The next morning, I kissed Emily on the forehead like nothing was wrong. She smiled, maybe even smugly. She thought I was still her puppet. But she didn't know that while she was in the shower, I forwarded all her emails to a secure drive. I even recorded her phone call with Trevor that afternoon. She was gloating about how easy I was to manipulate. That night I made my move. I called Michael's lawyer. File the freeze. I said. Now. In less than 12 hours the joint accounts were locked. All pending transfers halted. And every company document with my name was now being reviewed for fraud, including the forged paperwork they tried to erase Michael's name from. By noon, Emily walked into my office holding her phone like it was on fire. James, did you do something? The bank called. My card's not working. I looked up calm. Maybe you should ask Trevor. She blinked. My phone buzzed. An email notification from the private investigator I'd hired 2 weeks ago. Emily and Trevor had just applied for a joint loan using my business credit profile. I turned the laptop so she could see the photos. Hotel check-ins. Paperwork. Even a kiss outside my office building. I trusted you, I said. But you played a dead man's brother. I stood. You're leaving this house today. She scoffed, trying to regain her tone. You can't do that. I stepped aside, revealing 2 uniformed officers standing by the door. Actually, I can. Fraud. Identity theft. Wire transfer abuse. Want me to keep going? Her face drained of color. Emily screamed, not in fear but in fury. This is insane. James, how could you do this to me? The officers didn't flinch. They'd seen it before, manipulation masked as indignation. One calmly read out the temporary protection order while the other asked her to collect her things. I'll sue you, she shrieked. You'll lose everything. I didn't respond. Instead, I walked to the mantel and picked up a framed photo of Michael and me, from the day we opened our first office. I already lost everything the moment I let you into my life, I whispered. Trevor tried calling me that night. I let it ring. Then the real avalanche began. The forensic audit Michael's lawyer had prepared uncovered everything. Misappropriated funds, phantom vendors Emily had used to siphon money, and multiple shell accounts linked to Trevor. By morning, legal notices were sent to both of them. Civil suits. Criminal referrals. Full exposure. Emily went silent. Trevor disappeared. But I wasn't done. 2 weeks later, I stood in front of a room full of reporters and announced the relaunch of the Hamilton Brothers Foundation, this time dedicated to helping whistleblowers trapped by deceit, manipulation, or family betrayal. I named it after Michael. I ended the press conference with one line. Justice isn't just about law. It's about courage, the kind my brother had when he told the truth even after death. That night I got a call from a blocked number. A familiar voice rasped, "You think you've won. But you have no idea what we started." I froze. It was Trevor. And he sounded like he had nothing left to lose. I knew that tone. The calm before chaos. Trevor wasn't just angry. He was cornered, and men like him, when cornered, get desperate. I forwarded the call recording to the police, but I didn't stop there. I hired private security and installed high-grade surveillance around my property and office. Michael's voice echoed in my head, "Paranoia isn't always bad. Sometimes it's how survivors stay alive." 3 nights later, my front door camera caught a shadow at 3:12 a.m. A figure tried to jimmy the lock. But the second motion was detected, floodlights blasted on, and a voice over the intercom barked, "You have 10 seconds to leave before police are called." The figure bolted. But not before the camera got a clear shot. It was Trevor. The police issued a restraining order within hours, and reopened an older case linked to him involving workplace harassment. Turns out, Michael had been collecting evidence long before his diagnosis. That was Michael's true revenge. He didn't just expose Emily. He dismantled every abuser in his circle, brick by brick. At his memorial, I finally understood the depth of his quiet courage. He knew he was dying, but he spent his final months making sure I lived. Truly lived. Free from Emily. Safe from Trevor. Clear of the family chains that kept me playing small. But it wasn't over yet. Because 1 week later, a letter arrived at my door, hand-delivered, no return address. Inside was a single photo. Trevor. With someone I thought was dead. My blood ran cold. It was Michael. The photo showed him alive. Or at least, someone who looked exactly like him stepping out of a black SUV beside Trevor, timestamped just a week ago. Was it real? Was it staged? I rushed to my study, flipped through every document Michael had left. Nothing explained this. Nothing hinted at a possibility that he faked his death. Unless, it wasn't about death at all. Maybe it was about protection. I brought the photo to Detective Lively, the one who reopened the harassment case on Trevor. Her face went pale the second she saw it. "This wasn't part of the file," she whispered. "James." Michael was cooperating with the Federal Financial Crimes Task Force. He was in deep. "What are you saying?" I asked. She leaned in, lowered her voice. I'm saying your brother didn't just leave you that video for closure. He left it to buy time. Time to disappear. And if Trevor found him, it means the entire case is compromised. The room spun. My brother wasn't just a victim of cancer. He had become a ghost in his own life. For my safety, for justice, for reasons I didn't yet understand. But now that Trevor had resurfaced, all bets were off. And when I got home that night, another letter waited at my doorstep. This one was handwritten. Inside just 8 words. Meet me where the tree split midnight. No name. No signature. But I knew. It was Michael. And he was calling me back into the fire. I arrived at the old oak, the one that split in two during the storm of '96. It was nearly midnight. A cold wind blew through the empty clearing and then, footsteps. Michael stepped out of the shadows. Not a ghost. Not a memory. Him. Older. Thinner. Alive. Before you say anything, he said, I need to show you something. He handed me a flash drive. It's everything, Trevor's off-the-books accounts, his ties to the judge, the bribes, the sealed deals. I needed someone I trusted to make it public, in case I didn't make it back. I was shaking. Why me? Because you still believe in truth, James. And because you were always the only one who didn't ask me to be something I wasn't. We talked for hours like brothers again. Michael had faked his death with help from the feds to go undercover, but once Trevor caught wind of it, everything collapsed. Michael vanished before they could silence him. I'm going back into hiding, he said as the horizon began to glow with morning. But now the choice is yours. I took the flash drive. And I used it. In the weeks that followed, the fallout was nuclear. Trevor was arrested. The judge stepped down. My family finally understood who Michael really was. Not a cautionary tale, but the bravest man I ever knew. And on Christmas morning, an envelope arrived at my door. Inside, a single photograph. Me and Michael. Age 12. Smiling in the sunlight. No note. But I didn't need one. Some things speak louder than words.